So, you have 100 grand to start your new car sales garage. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But in this video, I'm going to talk you through the exact stock I'd buy, and I'm actually going to show you even example Dundee lads for particular cars I'd buy if I was starting all over again in 2025 and I had around 100 grand for stock to play with. Now in this video, I'm not saying to buy all your cars on the private market on Dundee or anything like that, but a lot of the ads and the examples of cars that I'm saying you should possibly buy are ones that I found on Dundee. Yes, use the private market as a tool for yourself, but also buy in the trade, and if you can buy some Japanese import cars that have just came into Ireland, let's say from a wholesaler, that's a good option too. But I was mainly showing you kind of Dundee lads to give you an example of particular prices and I think what you'll sell them for as well. Now, I know a lot of people are going to look at this and saying, well, how is anyone going to get 100 grand to start with? I'm not saying it's doable for everyone, I'm not saying it's possible, but I think in order to start a credible car sales operation in 2025, I think you're going to need in or around 100 grand worth of cars in order to make any type of decent money to start with. So in this video, I'll talk you through my top picks for it. Now, on the focus on this video, it's going to be on quality over quantity. Lads, you don't need, and I touched on this in other videos, you don't need 20 or 25 cars for 3 or 4 grand, not at all. In fact, I'd focus on having between 8 and 12 cars in stock, but having good quality cars and a little bit of a mixture as well until you find your niche. Now, the first one is something a little bit flash. Now, I know this is probably a risky kind of call because maybe you don't want too much of your money tied up in one car. But I'm not saying spend 50 grand on a particular car, but it's always good to have one nice car, let's say like an Audi A6 S-Line, like this one here, or a BMW 5 Series or a BMW 3 Series. And the reason for that is it's always good to have something a little bit flash in order to get a bit of attention on social media, to bring up a little bit of credibility in your brand so that you don't have all just little cheap bangers and everything like that. So I think something flash to get a bit of attention is always worth doing. I would spend maybe between 10 and 16, 17 grand on something like a 5 Series or an A6. I said it's nice to have nice cars as well, and they do sell really well too. Next up then is something like a diesel Ford Focus, something like these ones here. So I think these are a great option. Diesel Ford Focuses can be picked up a hell of a lot cheaper than a diesel Volkswagen Golf, for example. They're equally as reliable, I'd argue sometimes more reliable. They're great sellers. To get a good diesel car for around the 10 grand price range, you're going to be going back to a 2013 in a Golf, whereas you'll probably go up to a 14 or 15 in something like a Focus. So a diesel Ford Focus, I think these are a great option, and I'd buy 2 of these if you could. On this Ford Focus here, it's up on Dundee for 6,000. If you were to get this car for, let's say, 5,500, I think retail-wise, you probably get 8,950 for that car. So it's not a huge amount of outlay, and it's a decent enough margin to cover yourself and your overheads and a bit of warranty as well. Here's a nice Focus here as well. This one's it's a 2015 one, 175 kilometers, so it's not that low. But again, this car should do 10 to 11 grand retail. So if you can get this car for 7 grand, maybe a little bit less, it'd be a good car and it will sell straight away. It's a nice spec as well, so it's kind of a Z-Tech S1. These sell really well, especially in that blue colour. Now, I wouldn't normally say go straight for Volkswagen Polos, as they can be a little bit overpriced, but they are cracking sellers, especially around the 10 grand price range. This one here, it's up on Dundee for €8,500. So if you could get this one for around 7.5, I reckon this will still do between 10 and 11 grand retail, probably even 10,950. It's a nice colour, and again, starter cars around 10 grand, unbelievably good sellers. This Polo is also a good option as well. This one has even lower mileage than the other one. It's up for 8,700. Again, if you can get this for 7.5 to 8, this will do 10,950 retail with a warranty all day. So that's not a bad margin either. A Renault Clio, like this one here. Renault Clios are good sellers as well. Wouldn't be quite as good seller as a Volkswagen Polo, but again, anything, if you can get it for under 10 grand, again, starter car, small engine. And the reason I'm picking a lot of smaller engine cars as well, you don't want to really have a huge warranty exposure. So you want cars that if they go wrong, it's not going to break the bank and cost you 10 grand to fix. So that's very important when you're starting out. So something like this Clio, these do about 8 or 9 grand retail. So if you can get this for maybe around 6 grand or thereabouts, it's not a bad deal. Now, this is another small car I thought that was decent value as well. This 2018 Suzuki Swift. Again, this is a car that will retail all day for 11 grand, perhaps even 11,950. It's got low prep costs in these always, because they're generally, parts are quite cheap and they're reliable. There's low warranty risk on them, and they do sell. Suzuki Swift sell if they're under about 11 or 12 grand. If they're up at 14, 15, 16 grand, they are slow sellers. But if you've got a 2018 petrol car and you're retailing for in or around 11 grand, you will sell it, and you will sell it no bother as well. What I would also look at getting as well is buying a few Japanese import cars. Now, it's not the right time in your stage of business to be buying them directly from Japan yourself. You'll be waiting too long and your money's going to be tied up for months on end. You mightn't have a TAN number, for example. But there's plenty other Japanese import wholesalers in Ireland. AMCC up in Dublin are the ones that spring to mind. We bought plenty of cars off them in the past. They're great guys. They have an absolutely huge operation. And they will sell Japanese import cars to you registered. They'll register them up to your garage and you can buy them like that. I would be going for options like maybe Audi A1s, Audi A3s, something like a Volkswagen Golf or Volkswagen Golf Estate. You should be able to pick up 2015 Golf Estates or Golf hatchbacks for maybe around 9, 10 grand, and they retail at 12, 13, sometimes 14 grand. So if you can buy some fresh enough, well, not fresh enough, not so much in a year, but in terms of mileage wise, freshly imported Japanese cars, I said they're an absolute great option. And if you're starting a business from scratch again, do stock some Japanese import cars. They're great. There's not much going to be wrong with them as well. And they're very clean, which is very important. And other cars that come in from Japan as well are BMW 1 Series. Now, in particular, the diesel ones. The diesel BMW 1 Series, I would definitely recommend having one of these in stock. They are really good sellers. The diesel engines in them are absolutely excellent. So if you can pick up one of these that has been freshly imported, again, let's say from a wholesaler, I would definitely recommend buying one. Another good car to have in stock and always great sellers is a Ford Fiesta, like one of these ones here. Always make sure though you don't buy the 1 litre EcoBoost one, so go for the 1.25 litre engine. They're a much more reliable one. You don't want to be buying EcoBoost Ford Focuses. Or Ford Fiestas or Ford Focuses. There is a real risk of engine bother with them and the engine going kaput completely. But a Ford Fiesta, to have one of these in stock in a 1.2 engine, they're great sellers. You should be able to pick up one of these, for example, for in around maybe say 8.5 grand. And these will retail at between 11 and 12 grand all day, giving you a nice decent margin, and they will sell quick and there's not a huge amount to go wrong. And this is the name of the game, lads. You want cars that you can get a nice margin in, you could flip them quick enough and they're not going to break your heart if something goes wrong. Another car that's often overlooked on the road, and as a brand in general they can be a little bit overlooked, is Renault. I know people will say, oh, French cars, I wouldn't touch them, but generally the 1.5 DCI engine that's in Renaults from let's say 2014 to 2018 or so, it's actually a pretty good engine. So once they've been prepped properly, they're actually a reliable car. Something like this 2015 Megane, or if you can get one of the newer model ones, 2017, 2018, these can be picked up on the private market for very good value. And once you're selling them for under, I think the Renaults sell best when they're kind of under 12 or 13 grand. If you can get them in that kind of price point with reasonable mileage, they're actually good news and they're good sellers. So I definitely pick up one of them if you can. Okay, to summarize the list, this is what I would recommend. If you were to put it down, there's 11 cars in this list. It'll bring it around to, I think it's around 100, 101,000 euro. So I would go for a 15 grand something flash, something like a nice Audi A6 S-Line, and a 15 grand also something flash on something like a 5 Series M Sport if you can pick one up. Both great sellers. So there's 30 grand. Then I would spend 30 grand on newly imported Japanese import cars. So if you can get 3 of these. Something like a Golf Polo or an A3 from a Japanese import wholesaler. These are great news as well. And you'll pick up for 10 grand each, let's say, you'll pick up pretty fresh cars. They'll definitely be 15 or 16 reg ones with lower mileage. That Clio I mentioned, I would go for that one, something like that for around 6 grand. Should be a handy seller, should retail at 8.5 to 9 grand. They're generally low prep in these as well. Something like a Megane, if you can pick one up for 5 to 6 grand, again, they're good news. They do sell well, especially in a GT line. I would pick up 2 Focus diesels. I talked about 2 that were up on Dundee. You should be able to pick up both of those for, I would say, in around 13 grand combined, and they'll both retail quite well. That Suzuki Swift I talked about, that would be 8 grand. And the Polo manual, if you can pick up one of these that I talked about, you should be able to get that for in around 7.5 grand. So, in total, the list of cars at my estimated prices you'd buy them for, it's 11 cars adding up to 100,500 euro. You might even get it for 100,000 even. And what do I think you'll get for selling all these cars? So in total, I estimate you will get 145,000 euro selling these cars that you paid in around 100 for. Now, I know you'll have your prep costs, you'll have VAT as well, and you'll have your overheads. But I would estimate you would net approximately 20,000 euro profit if you buy these cars right, prep them right, and sell them. Generally speaking, the margin you should be aiming for on these cars is minimum 3 grand where possible. On some of the more heavier cars, you should be aiming for a 4 to 5 grand margin. And trust me, from someone that's been buying cars off dealers and privately for the last 6 to 7 years, this is very doable as well. So on the cars that say they're a little bit flash, that you're paying 15 odd grand for, you should be aiming to get between 19 and 20 grand for these cars. For the Japanese imported cars that you're buying from a wholesaler, if you're paying 30 grand for them, so that's 10 grand each, for example, you should be definitely aiming to be selling these cars for 13 to 14 grand. Again, it depends on the deal and it depends on the car. For a lot of the smaller ones, again, you're probably going to be aiming for a £3,000 margin on it. So if you're buying for 6, you're probably going to be throwing it up for 8, 950. This is what I would do. You don't have to do exactly that, but as you can see from this one, you have a nice little mixture between some smaller cars, some flash cars as well, and I've deliberately not done kind of real stuff that's going to get you caught, or that's going to be real slow to sell, or that's going to be a little bit risky. These are low risk, tried and tested cars that I've sold hundreds of over the years. So that's what I would do if I had 100 grand to spend on cars in 2025. If you have any other opinions on this, or if you have any other options you think I missed, please leave a comment below. Thank you.